It's Train Talk Media, and we are all ready to visit with Michelle Kempema, the Executive Director of the Colorado Model Railroad Museum. Before we get into things, it's the Train Talk Media I Want to Win giveaway, November edition for our second podcast here with Michelle. John Chase's 3D designs. You get them and they're like craft kits. They're phenomenal. We got $50. All you got to do this month is go to the comments. You can subscribe. We'd love to have you subscribe. And if you don't, that's okay. Either way, just put in the comments, I want to win. And at the end of the month, $50 in 3D printed model railroad details from Whistle Stop Models. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've been waiting for this day for 500 years. Michelle Kempema, Executive Director of the Colorado Model Railroad Museum, is with us.
I'm excited to come and talk about the Colorado Model Railroad Museum.
All right, so today we're joined by Michelle. She is our Executive Director, one of the most immersive and detailed model railroad museums in the country. We're going to talk about the museum's history, what makes it so special, and Michelle's own journey leading this remarkable destination for modelers and families alike. Michelle, I want to know how you got into this before we get into the museum and your rail fanning interests and your modeling interests.
Sure. Okay, so I actually went to college to be an aerospace engineer back in the 90s.
So you really wanted to be a rocket scientist?
Yeah, I really liked space a lot more than ground, but it's okay. But I ended up not loving the math in my third year. And I met this really cute guy, and we were dating, and he graduated, and he had a hard time getting a job right out. So he went to grad school, and then I needed to work. And so I quit college because I was just going to be a stay-at-home mom, and life was going to be perfect. And so I married him. He worked for the Transportation Technology Center in Pueblo and developed things for rail, actually. So I know a lot about rail trains from that experience. Had 2 daughters. 15 years later, we're divorced, and I'm back in Greeley, Colorado, where I'm from, and I'm going back to college to get a degree. So full-time college, working part-time at a homeless shelter, mom of 2 little girls in school, and life is busy, busy, busy. Wow. So I'm at this shelter one day in my little part-time job, and the director says, hey, this guy who's got this model train something is having a fundraiser for us, but he needs somebody there. So you have a kid, you go. So my little daughter, who was 7, Anna, and I show up at this big green metal building to take $5 from our donor base that we've emailed and said, come, to this fundraiser. So we go, I'm sitting there at the front at a card table at the time, taking $5 from people. And Anna goes out into this huge layout. Like, we walk in this building and we're like, oh my God, look at this. This is like a gigantic miniature world. And Anna's like, I love it. And so she goes off. And about 2 hours later, she comes back to me and says, Mom, this is the coolest place I've ever been. Could we volunteer here? And I looked at her and I said, yeah, let's do that. So twice a month, this is like 2009, we would go on a Saturday, and she would bus the gift shop and clean the caboose, and she would read stories to other kids in the caboose, and I ran the little front desk, and it was a place of joy for us. We'd walk in there and all of our problems stayed outside, right? All the stress. So kind of fast forward a little bit, I'm going to graduate college with a business degree. and I've known the man who built the museum. His name is Dave Trussell. And he built his dream. He had a dream of building the ultimate model railroad based off of Lynn Westcott's article from 101 Track Plans.
Yes.
There's the article that says, if I had $1 million. Are you familiar with that story?
Yes.
Dave took that as a challenge. So his whole life, this is really funny because he loved Lionel trains. He bought and sold and collected Lionel trains. And he saved all that money to build the ultimate HO scale prototypical model railroad, which is completely opposite. But he loved scenery. Dave loved scenery, so he wanted to build that. That
leads us into a question we were kind of talking about. We might jump the gun here. We were talking about off podcast was, why is this so reflective of a real, they used to say he's a museum quality modeler. Well, this is a museum quality museum layout. Why is it so prototypically model railroad based and not like with, UFOs and blimps and circus and circus trains?
Well, and that was Dave was all about realistic scenery. And he tried new things, and he spent so much time building small layouts over his lifetime, trying new scenery techniques. And he knew that he needed to have interesting train running for people that just like to run trains. So he was smart enough to put some yards and some jobs, and he made it for modelers to come and operate on, but he was all about the scenery. So we have the most beautiful, complete model railroad world. Now, I have learned that it's actually proto-freelance, because he loved to build bridges, and these don't actually exist in Oregon where this layout is.
Oh, that's right. This layout has a location. What is the location again?
This layout is the Oregon, California, and Eastern Railway. And Dave was a newspaper publisher, and his first newspaper was in Lakeview, Oregon. And so he would drive to Klamath Falls, and along the way, you follow the Oregon, California, and Eastern Railroad. It was a logging railroad. They worked with Weyerhaeuser, but it never actually made it to Lakeview. But Dave decided that his railroad would. He was going to be the owner and never sold it, and he actually built it all the way into Lakeview. So we're definitely proto-freelance, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's real, and we have a railroad that we can, make prototype equipment. So we have a lot of OC&E equipment. Our year is 1975 because with people visiting, is that he liked his trains to have cabooses. So you have to be in the 70s, right, for that.
Right.
So, and I'm glad he did it, because the public expects to see a caboose today. I'll ask a fourth grade class, what's at the end of a train? A caboose. But have they ever seen one in real life? Probably not.
No, because the end of the train marker came about in like the early 80s. Right,
with the invention of the hot box detector, like all that. Yeah. Anyway, so that's our layout. So I've been there since the beginning. Dave built it to play on it. He thought clubs would come and operate on it, and he had this great plan that he would just die and give it to the city of Greeley someday. And the city of Greeley, when they found out, they went, "What? We're not sure about that." So I entered the picture. I have a lot of nonprofit experience, and Dave says to me, he goes, "Michelle, I really think this could be something." This is the end of 2009, 2010, right in there.
Right.
And he goes, "You're about to graduate. So I don't know what your plans are, but if you would be willing to stay here for a very small salary and work part-time, I would love to hire you. I promise to pay you for 3 years, and let's see what happens." And we shook on it. We literally did a handshake. So I started there in January, like the 4th, I think, of 2011 as the first employee. So I've been there a long time, and I was the only employee for 3 years. And on that third year, I had us restructured as a 501c3.
Right.
We were open on the weekends, and we put money in the bank.
That's awesome. Now, is that all from visitors, or were you writing grants?
Oh, visitors. Grants are kind of hard. There's a lot more grants for restoring equipment than for running a model train.
I see. Now, when you need something, securing it. Okay, so we figured out it's from members, it's from visitors, and it's from donations, right? I mean, like, let's
Correct.
just say, okay, we want to model this train that just came out, let's just say Bachman or Rapido or somebody puts out a train we want to run. How do you go get it?
Okay, so there's multiple ways. And let's talk about how we are now. So at the moment, the Colorado Model Railroad Museum is a 501c3 structure. We've been that since, 3 years after I was hired. We got that all figured out, sorted into one. So our revenue sources are admissions, just general visitors, memberships, people who buy memberships, which is and membership isn't a club. We're not a club, and we're quite different than that.
Right.
Right. We have a mission statement to be a nonprofit. Our mission is to provide a model railroading experience that educates, inspires, and brings joy to all ages. So we don't have club members. We have model train volunteers. So instead of being a club where they pay a membership and they're there for their own enjoyment, we have volunteers who come through the door, and they are there for the mission of the museum. And yes, they have fun running their train, but they're also there for the person that's visiting. And so it's kind of a mind shift in how you operate a layout. And so our volunteers are sometimes members also, but the public is a member, because when you buy a membership, you get free admission for the whole year, right? So, and then there's supportive memberships, there's outright donors, and then there's donated items. We also sell donated items. That's a big piece of revenue for us too.
Do you ever have a flea market or swap meet?
We go to the Rocky Mountain train shows, and we sell.
Okay, gotcha.
And And we have a board member who does something really fun. The Lionel trains that get donated to us, because there's a lot of those.
Yeah.
He turns them into these little box kits for families, and we sell them for $20. You can get a locomotive, 3 or 4 cars, a caboose, the power pack, and the track. So you got to train for under your Christmas tree.
Whoa!
Yeah, and so we promote the hobby through our family boxes, which is really fun. And I love when we can take like 10 or 20 of those to a train show. And if they can't afford the $20, it's fine. We'll give it to them. But, you know, the little skin in the game makes it just that much more fun for them. And so our train show sales booth has many purposes. Yes, we raise money with it, but we're also continuing the hobby with it. So we'll give stuff away too. So back to like the revenue, that's where really most of our revenue comes from. It's now over the years, I've been to train shows. I've met every manufacturer. They're wonderful people in this hobby.
Yeah, they are.
And when we need something, they'll either donate it or we get to buy it typically at like a dealer price. And so sometimes we buy things, sometimes they're donated. My favorite one is I kept bugging Jason Sean and saying, hey, you know, you could make the Colorado ski train. That Rio Grande ski train it's those cars you make for Canada. And you know what? They gave us the whole train. They brought it. They donated it. We did a big video. You should watch the video.
Okay,
it's very funny. I'm a total goofball at the end of it. So the video about their ski train, I just out of fun made a little Star Trek video for them. But anyway,
nerd.
I'm such a nerd, but we had a lot of fun with it, and they donated that. Soundtrack sponsors are decoders.
Oh, see,
when we need decoders, we call them, and they sponsor it because they like what we're doing for the hobby. We're a little bit different in our focus, and so a layout is usually built for a reason. Most people build so if it's in your home, you build what you know and what you love.
Yeah.
If it's for a club, you're probably building a local historic story.
Yes. Which, can I ask you something? Do people say, why didn't you do Colorado? Where's Moffat Tunnel? You know, what's it called?
Maybe 3% of our guests who actually understand that. And the other 97% are the public, and they're like, oh, pretty trains on a mountain. Love it.
Press this button to see Winter Park.
It would be fun. Now, Dave actually modeled ours a lot after Colorado. The rocks are modeled after Glenwood Canyon.
Okay.
It's this real mix of Oregon and Colorado.
I got you.
Total. But our layout isn't in Colorado. And so what do we do with this? You know, I'm always like, well, I've got this Oregon layout in Colorado. But we focus on the
That's
hobby
okay.
of
There's a
railroading.
there's a Colorado layout in Oregon, so don't worry about it.
Is there really?
No,
I
made that up. Sorry.
I bet there is one. If you have one, let me know. If you're listening today, let me know. I'll come visit. So we end up being the Museum of the Hobby of Model Railroading.
Right.
And we have a full-time education director who starts with preschoolers and loving trains and then goes into modeling skills as they grow up with us. And they go to train camp and they have programming throughout the year on weekends. And so we start them very young, just loving trains.
Hey, do you do Operation Lifesaver like in the Unstoppable movie when the kids are out on the train and the trains, they had the runaway train?
Oh my gosh. You know, we actually do Operation Lifesaver. We are the home of Colorado Operation Lifesaver.
Nice.
And those big boy stops when Union Pacific comes through, that's us. That's our people out there in the safety vest keeping the crowd safe.
Oh, very cool.
And this year, we went to the school district in Eaton, Colorado, because the big boys stopped there they were on October 1st. We talked to every school kid from kindergarten to seniors. Over 2,000 students got our safety message. And that was my education director, my director of youth programs, and me going and talking to all those school kids. It's a big piece of what we do.
Okay, so you've turned the museum into a major attraction, and we've talked about why it's different than, you know, other layouts or exhibits around the country. But here we go. What were some of the biggest challenges along the way you had to deal with?
Oh gosh, maintaining a large layout is no joke. It's a job, and so I talked about how our we don't have club members. We have volunteers who are there for our mission. These guys go above and beyond. We have about 150 active volunteers, and we have different volunteer teams and different people there on different days doing different things. So we're always closed at least a half of one day a week. But on Tuesdays, we have a whole team of guys that just come and maintain this layout. They clean it, they clean the track, they kind of rotate around cleaning the towns, the structures. Our layout always looks, it's like the Disney effect, right? You keep
absolutely.
You keep it clean, you keep it nice, and people respect it.
Absolutely.
And these guys do a fantastic job. We have an electronics team. So Dave kind of built this layout in the early 2000s, right? And he opened it in 2009. So the technology of 2004, CMRI was like the thing.
Yes.
Right? And we run that. So now people want to have a TCS throttle. What do we do with that? So we had to integrate JMRI into our CMRI. So now we run both systems simultaneously, but we're always having to upgrade the underside of the layout with the modern technology as it comes along, and wiring and switches. We learned that the average lifespan of a tortoise switch is about 12 years because we had a ton of them die.
Oh no, there's no lifetime warranty.
We wore them out at 12 years.
Wait a minute, you thought they'd be slower to...
So it's just a learning thing. So we passed our 15-year mark of being open, and our trees are starting to look pretty faded, pretty worn. So last year we started the reforestry project. So that's a $20,000 4-year project of creating, 30,000 more trees.
Who makes the trees? Do you use super trees? Or are they handmade, wired trees?
It's a mix. So the trees that are in the very, very back, sometimes we try to use what we already have, but we're working with Coastman's products. And I have volunteers who are actually making the trees where you have to glue on the branches, and they're super detailed. We also use some of those super trees, and it's kind of a mix of a lot of things, but it's a big project. And we have two volunteers that are really focused on it, and then kind of a team that helps them. So yeah, it's a big deal, and trying to reforest 30,000 trees is a job.
You're talking about having to revamp the layout technically. We're going to have Eric from Chicago Crossings Model Railroad. This guy is really gaining a lot of N-scale traction on YouTube. Great channel. He's going to be on next week. He just spent the last year with a technical overhaul. He's now using computer modules to throw turnouts as part of just hitting keys. Like if you hit F1, that's one turnout. Hit F2. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know that that's exactly, but I think he's got some kind of keyboard that he hits. And he, and it's only a 4x8 N-scale layout, but it's massive. And he flips it over, and everything is just there's no spaghetti wiring. It's all tucked and labeled. It looks really good. And you're right, the technology's changing, so you have to keep this stuff. Does your electronics department have to keep this stuff, like every couple of years updated?
Well, they're constantly kind of working on different things, and we had to make a decision whether or not our layout is always going to stay exactly as it is. Is it an artifact? Is it a piece of the museum that shouldn't change? So we went back to Dave Trussell, who's retired and in Pennsylvania, by the way, where his grandkids are.
There you go.
And we said, Dave, what do you think about this? And he goes, oh, I think it's a living, breathing world, and you should change it as you grow. And so this year we added a farm. We cut down a forest, and the guys every week, this little scenery crew, I told them, I said, I never want to see foam because the public comes in.
Right.
And every week they would do just a little change. And so first the for sale sign went up on the property for a week. And then the next week, they were logging the trees out and then left the stumps, and then they had to come get those out, but they have to paint and finish it every week. And so it took them a year, but they built Mrs. McGillicuddy a farm. And so we're changing things.
Are there storyboards or audio for those? Is there audio that people can hear? Or do you press a button, or are there storyboards?
Well, we're trying to be better at that. We have a newsletter. If you read our newsletter, you can read the whole story about the process.
I need to get on the mailing list. I'll make a note.
Yeah, I'll have to get you on there. Yeah. We're adding more screens. We are the first museum with an indoor virtual railfan camera.
Oh, nice.
So you could actually watch our layout when we're open. And if you're listening to this and you'd like to be your virtual railfan operator and you'd like to follow our trains and stuff, we're looking for volunteers to do that. You could be a volunteer for us and not even be in Colorado. We have some people who do that.
Yeah, and hit Michelle up at the museum or put it in the comments here, and we'll make sure that
Yeah, let me know. It's very fun that we have this. And then we added an outdoor virtual rail fan so that you can watch the big boy when it stops there in our trains. Yeah, but the layout changes. And so we have to keep up with the time, but we're also able to add some interactive things. We won't change the spirit of the layout, the location, or any of that.
Right.
But we've added some push button things, but yet at the same time, we want to keep it very realistic and very prototypical. We don't want to add some crazy thing that doesn't make sense. So the guys come to me.
I have a problem with T-Track with like UFOs and circuses. Right. Sorry, it's just a thing I have.
Now we have a sci-fi day once a year, and I pull out that UFO that lifts the cow that I bought at Murdoch.
Here it comes.
And it just sets in one place on the layout for one day, and then it comes right back out.
All right, here it comes.
And it's part of an event. But no, I'm actually the worst at saying no to things. The guys are like, "We need a Dairy Queen." And I'm like, "Nope, that doesn't fit our theme."
Well, if you got a sponsor,
right, it'd have to be a local Tasty Freeze, right? Because in Oregon, I'm not sure a Dairy Queen would have appeared in that town. It's not big enough, so it'd have to be a locally owned something. So I challenged them to create something locally owned, and they did. So.
All right, so the museum relies a lot on volunteer energy. How do you get your volunteers? Is friends recommending friends?
Yeah, and people that just come through the door. Yeah. They find us online. It's very interesting. We have a very large crew of young people who are volunteers.
Good. We hear that's happening in the hobby now. There's a big 18 to 34 expansion, and we're starting to see and hear that in these podcasts, and also with me communicating with a lot of modelers, club members, and vendors.
Yes, and some of them are sticking with us even through their late 30s and into 40s. We don't see them as often because their lives are busy, but they're still coming in a few times a year. So we have a huge contingent of young people, high schoolers, college age. Yeah, it's great. We were operating last Christmas, and I looked around, and I'm like, there are 14 guys here under the age of 30 running a train right now.
Wow. A friend of ours named Ian, he does Ian Live. He is one of the proprietors of that crazy model train store in Iowa that does the online, it's Caboose Stop Hobbies. They do an online thing every week.
Okay.
Well, he does a thing. It's Ian Live, and he's working with young modelers and working with them on YouTube, and it's a lot of how-tos, and it's mainly a lot of maintenance on locomotives and repainting locomotives.
And, that's neat.
Yeah, and it's specifically for under 18 kids getting into the hobby.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, that's my boy Ian. He's a good man.
The young people that come in with the volunteers, they have a lot of fun because they're learning, and it's interesting when you shift from that club mindset of I'm here for my own fun and you're here for a bigger purpose. It really is kind of like a leadership lesson for them. And our volunteers have fun. We have a rule that if it's not fun, we change it. That's pretty powerful with volunteers. But our guys are just amazing.
How do you make model railroading exciting for younger visitors and families who might be new to the hobby? And I say that because we're starting to understand the different levels of model railroading. The neophytes that want to get into it and get to a moderate modeling level before they get to, a museum quality or professional modeling status. And then there's toy train collectors, which, you know what, I'm telling you, they're an important part of our hobby, even though they're a little different.
Right. Oh, no. Lionel is a huge piece of this hobby.
Yes,
One of my most prototypical modelers, one of my guys who is my ultimate rivet counter, was standing at our Lionel exhibit one day, and he goes, "You have these three cars in the wrong order. When I was a kid, mine were in these order." I was like, "You're a Lionel guy? Everybody has it at some point in their life, right?"
Well, do we thank Neil Young for that? I was telling my wife, Janice, we're all Neil Young fans. So we thank Neil Young when he had ownership of Lionel for his mentally challenged son. And I don't know if he still does, but he was able to really help keep it rolling.
So we have different ways that we attract people to the hobby. We are at a place where the public meets the hobby.
Right.
We in Colorado, as a museum, we promote a lot through the parent magazine, a place for your family to come and visit. It's like the zoo and the model train museum are on the same list. And so we have people that come in that have never seen a model train. It's a different world for them. Multi-generational families come in. We have grandma, grandpa, mom, and dad, and the kids. And the majority of our visitors are truly general public. so they play a nice spy game when they come in. We challenge them to find things, which gives them dwell time looking at the layout and really paying attention. So they don't just walk by and like, oh, yeah, I see a terrain. They actually have to look for things, and it kind of helps them really get in there. The other thing is that our volunteers are in the same space as the visitor. So when you look at our layout and you look at the photo of it, our volunteers are walking around in the exact same space the visitor's walking around. And they tend to engage because if a volunteer, you know, they spent thousands of dollars on that personal train that they get to bring now because they have enough volunteer hours. They want to talk to people about that.
I like that because it's not roped off or there's plexiglass. See, La Mesa,
right.
the La Mesa Model Railroad Club, Balboa Park, they're separate, but I think they kind of have to be in that scenario because of the way you walk
the way the layout
through
was
it.
built.
Yeah, it was built. Yeah, it was built like a club layout.
And Dave built this one with a little bit of visitorship in mind. I don't think he understood exactly where he was going, but he knew he wanted people to come see it. And so our plexiglass is 6 inches high. You can reach over it. It's just a tiny barrier to keep the little ham away, you know. Yeah. And you get immersed in our world because you're there. And our guys, we run it with a CTC machine. So they always have a headset on, and the visitor will hear them say, you know, dispatch, this is 229, requesting clearance. And they hear the whole chatter, and usually they'll ask a question. Or our volunteers say, hey, do you want to see how this works? And we have NCE throttles, which look really amazing to the public, right? So they engage, and that's really part of our visitor experience. We hear it all the time. If you go look at our Google reviews, it's almost always, love the museum, beautiful scenery, and Carl talked to me while I was there, you know, or Brian took me behind the scenes and showed me the staging area. It was amazing. And our volunteers have the ability to do that. They're empowered to say, would you like to see behind the scenes? I'll take you.
Wow. That is, see, now as we continue to progress this conversation about the Colorado Model Railroad Museum, I can see why it's different now because, you know, there's setups at shows, and then there's clubs, and then there's other, you know, exhibits where, you know, we call them the old codgers with the railroad vest and engineer's hat on. Don't bother me, kid. I'm running a train.
Exactly. I'm facing my layout. I don't want to talk to you. Right?
But that's changing. That's changing.
It is.
I hear that's starting to change. People are starting to relate a little more because what's happening is what Rob Spangler called the old codgers. They're starting to age out.
They are, and the new people. I tell you, this hobby is the nicest people, and they really. It is probably less than 3% that are old, that are codgery anymore. I feel like it's really had a shift in the last 15 years.
Yeah, and that's why we think it's continuing to grow, and why we think that the demographic is getting younger versus being 55 plus. Which I look at my my YouTube demographics, and it's 55 plus, and it's all male. But you know that doesn't mean that you know, a Saturday morning, a guy sitting with his kid, they've been to your museum, and they want to build a small train layout, that they don't watch all this stuff, because that's what we're here for too, to engage people in the hobby and help it grow to no matter what level you're going to succeed in. Because I got off my high horse. You know, I got on this high horse like, well, I don't like life like green mats under brass Atlas track, and you can't make cotton puffball trees. Sure you can. Do what you got to do to get it done.
And so, you know, we're kind of the place that we introduce them to the hobby. But then we love that there's clubs out there. There's other groups. There's Youth and Model Railroading in Denver that works with kids. We want to inspire you to explore the hobby with whoever is near you. And we need all the clubs, and we need all the layouts because we're all in it together, and people will find something that they can connect with.
The hidden details or special scenes visitors should look for when they come. Now, I'm gonna hit you with the fire, because the fire is the coolest.
Yes. See, the forest fire is neat. We have different, like, kind of push button things that people can do. But we have 2 games that just organically grew from when Dave was building the layout. So we are the model train museum that has dinosaurs hiding all over the layout. And so if you can find 5, you get to take home a small dinosaur.
Well, I'm
going to
let that go because of, you're in the
Mm-hmm.
fossil area in Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, the Dakotas. So we'll let that go, even though it's
and
Oregon.
that's why, because we talk about our state dinosaurs, the Stegosaurus, but these aren't like pink and purple dinosaurs. We have prototypical looking. Well, nobody really knows what they look like.
We're going to measure them. They better be 187 scale. Girl.
Oh yeah, no, they're not. But but it's what it does is it engages people to actually look at our layout, pay attention to the small world. So there's some things like that. But we have a fire scene. We have all sorts of different animated scenes now. But our Ice Bay game is really fun. Find this. Sometimes it's a mix of artifacts and things on the layout. We have a caboose, a real one. And I think people like seeing that there's this great big caboose right here I get to walk through, and here's a model of it on this layout right across the way from it. So it kind of gives you that why we do what we do. This is 1-to-1. This is what we model. So I think that's our behind the scenes tours. All you got to do is ask and somebody will take you. And those are fun because we get to talk to people about what it takes to run a layout like this. And where do the trains come from? What are they made out of? People have great questions. Oh, I just think that engaging them with the layout in any way, it makes people feel special, right? So finding those hidden things really helps them really connect with the hobby.
Okay, so what kind of, we've talked about it a little bit, but outreach, or you have an educational program. Do you go to schools, churches?
So there's many ways, So we have, so they did not build us a classroom. So our education that happens in-house has to happen in our lobby, which isn't very big. And so we do a little bit there. A train camp happens in the morning before we're open to the public, and stuff like that. So we're looking for other things there. So we have to go to the classroom. We actually taught in a public school. We have a school of innovation, and we did a kind of a pilot test where we taught 1 hour every day for 12 weeks. And we built those really large woodland scenics, like the 2 foot by 4 foot. We put the kids in teams, and then they put their scenery modules together, and we ran trains on them. We've done this with boys and girls clubs and after-school programming and different clubhouses around town. I don't know if you're familiar with Boys and Girls Club. But then those kids all got together for an event, and we ran their trains. We're starting to do a lot more T-track, and the mini dioramas are very popular because we can complete them in like an hour.
Hey, I was going to jump in with this. That your boys at N-Scale Supply, Rocky Mountain Model Trains, did you see what they were designing that I think is going to be really cool too? The road bed on those modules.
Yes.
Yeah, that looks really cool.
We're working with them on that.
Nice,
nice. I actually personally am a Fremo end module builder.
Yeah.
I have a couple.
Cool.
I'm trying to learn skills. I'm not very good yet. I need a lot of help. But we're going to try to kind of revitalize the modelers in this region to build something together among the different clubs, including the museum and including Rocky Mountain Train Supply. And they're awesome at stepping up and saying, yes, we want to be part of this. Let's work together. And they have created those awesome kits. They just kind of debuted them at our RPM that we just had. So that was really neat.
Yeah, and what those really are is, why don't you explain it better than me? The guy that came from Rocky Mountain, it's Rocky Mountain Train Supply? No, N-Scale Supply, Rocky Mountain Trains.
It's the same guys. Yeah, they used to have N-Scale Supply, and then when we needed a brick and mortar, they stepped up and did it for us and carry all scales.
I know, wait a minute, I got to play taps for Caboose Hobbies. Oh, God. I got to go there before they closed. I'm pretty excited about that, not to jump off track, go way off.
Yeah.
But
we missed having a big hobby shop. So N-Scale Supply, they stepped up and said, okay, we'll do a brick and mortar. And honestly, it was a leap of faith on their part, and they're rocking it, and we love them.
I got to go to Caboose Hobbies in 2014 when I was in Cheyenne and got back into the hobby. And it was just a few years before TAPS, because didn't they try to move it to another location? Somebody bought it, and that still didn't work.
That was a different owner, and it didn't quite. Yeah.
God, do you remember?
We tell their story. We have all their artifacts.
Oh,
if you want to see some Caboose Hobbies, we have it in our building.
The Caboose Hobbies, where you would take a shopping cart and not a basket. You literally would take a shopping cart, and it would take you hours to go through the store. It was the best hobby shop in the world. All right, so what's next for the museum? Any new exhibits, expansions, or special events on the horizon?
Well, you know what? Funny you should ask.
Funny you should ask.
So the museum, we acquired a warehouse to the south of our building, and we actually have 3 city blocks of land to expand on. But when COVID hit, we're like, oh, well, building's now very expensive. It kind of derailed everything for a bit, but we realized we have a lot of dirt. So what can we do with dirt? We can build a garden railroad.
Yes.
So
that's where you do Colorado. That's where you do Colorado. We can make mountains.
That's where we're doing a Colorado layout. We will build a Rio Grande layout.
Yes.
Rio Grande.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
So,
we're going to do Moffett Tunnel, too.
I don't know if we have Moffett Tunnel on there.
Hey, look, if they can build mountains in Slab City, California out of concrete, like when you look at photos of Slab City, that weird hippie town near Salton Sea, and they've built mountains out of concrete, you can do the same.
We can do this. So, but what happened is that we first were like, let's build a garden railroad. Well, I hit a problem with a power pole that had Union Pacific lines on it that held us up a whole year. So now we're finally back on track, and we realized that what we really need is an outdoor classroom also. So grant funding wise, I got a $25,000 grant to build the garden railroad, and I recently got a $75,000 grant to build a classroom courtyard.
Okay, would it be a courtyard or more like an amphitheater stage?
It's going to be the courtyard between our 2 buildings. We're calling it a courtyard. We actually have a rail car in there right now. We have a box car. We're probably going to replace that with a caboose. We have a caboose kind of lined up for there. We're building a pavilion. We have the concrete poured. We'll have an outdoor classroom area with a garden railroad. And because I have a director of youth programs, and she's amazing at sensory and all the things that different ways that kids learn and immersing them into trains. So we have a little train play area. She has a sensory table where you can use sand or water or whatever you want to do to work with kids. And then we have a little caboose they can play in. And we're working on another grant to put in an actual train themed play area, because those things are expensive, but it's going to be this awesome outdoor play area. Because where we live in Colorado, we have all but about 2 months that we can be outside. So
Denver was the only place I lived. I worked in Denver radio. We put a radio station on there in the early 80s, and I think it predated you called. Well, I worked at, it was KHOW AM, and then it was KPKE, The Peak. We put on a rock station that back in the day we did really well.
Yeah.
And Denver was the only town I lived in April where it'd be 80 degrees. You'd be at the park one day, and the next day, 28 degrees and a foot of snow.
Right? And then the snow's gone in 3 days and it's 80 again. And so we figure we can use this thing most of the year. We'll just have to close it on the summer days. So it's exciting. We have a bigger expansion we're working on planning for, where we would actually build another building with some classrooms. You need to be teaching this hobby.
Hey, let's get some shout outs to your folks. Let's shout outs to your education director. Name, rank, and serial number. Shout out.
Gosh, her name is Madison Castle, and actually Castle Vance, because she just got married.
Castle Vance? Castle Rock.
Vance. Yeah. Oh, she's amazing. So this is what happened. To rewind a couple of years, actually about 4. I walk in one day and there's a resume on my desk, and I was like, I didn't know we were hiring. So I just kind of ignored it. And the next week, another resume is on my desk, and I'm like, well, interesting. And then I happened to be downstairs at the front desk the next week when this girl walks in, and she goes, I don't think you got my resume. I go to college here, and I want to work here.
Wow.
And it was so funny because at the time, we always have a college student who works our Sunday front desk. And she had said to me, I'm in the Nutcracker at Christmas. I need 9 Sundays off. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And in walks Madison, and I said, can you start on Sunday? So there you go. It was serendipitous. The universe decided Madison was going to work there. And she's still with us. So she got her degree in early childhood education, and she also has a lot of language skills and things. So it's really fascinating. I'm always impressed with how she works with kids. They love her. They call her Miss Madison, and she runs train camp. And her first year at train camp, she had a kid who loved it so much he did a lemonade stand to sponsor another kid the next year.
Wow,
so
cool.
and then Brooks just did it again and brought her another check from his lemonade stand at the end of summer to sponsor another kid. And so she's amazing. So there's a shout out to Madison. She's just
all right. Shout out to your social media director. Now, didn't I see you guys start a podcast?
Yes, we're trying. That's Jennifer. She's doing a great job.
Okay, let's get a shout out for your podcast. Tell us about it and tell us about her.
Okay, so I met Jennifer in 2019 when the Big Boy first ran. There was a Big Boy fan page, and I saw this girl post, and I'm like, "You live in Colorado? I live in Colorado." And so she came to the museum one day, and we met each other, and we have been friends ever since. We started the Facebook group, the Steam Sisters. We chased steam trains together. We've been friends.
The Steam Sisters are rolling down the track. Jennifer and Michelle got your back.
Oh yeah, we have the Steam Sisters. It's a little inactive right now. I need to be back on that. But we chase trains, and we go to train shows, and we do things together as rail fans, girls that rail fan. And we thought, let's start a show about that. And so now that she's doing the social media for the museum too, there's a lot of model train stuff we do together. And so we're like, we should do a show. So we had so much content. And I said, we have to actually put it together and do this. We don't have a name. Did you notice our first show? We're like, we need a name for this show.
Yeah, it had a no name. Working title. What was the working title?
Working title.
You had a working title. Yeah, I forget what it was. We don't know.
Even remember.
We don't know, or this will be something.
Yes, and we want it to be a little bit of the archives of the Model Railroad Museum. What's going on in Colorado? What are girls rail fanning? What's going on in the modeling world? It's going to be whatever Michelle and Jennifer are interested in today, but I think it'll be fun.
Well, you guys are certainly I call it the nucleus of model railroading. For modelers listening at home, what advice would you share about, creating a layout that engages people and tells the story and makes you part of the Colorado love for trains and model trains?
Okay, so my advice for people who, want to create their own layout, you've got to love it. You've got to have a passion for whatever you're putting on that, because that's what's going to translate to your visitors. So whether it's historic for you, a place you visited and loved, where you grew up, or there's also, so those are like this is from my heart and my life experience kind of layouts. But then there's the layouts where I love the act of modeling. I build structures. So my layout is all about my structures, right? Jason Jensen trains. He's here in Greeley. He builds structures.
I didn't know that. Come on now, he's the man.
Oh yeah, he is, right? He builds structures that he loves, but they're not real. He doesn't have this like, I build this location. He builds structures, and he builds beautiful layouts because he loves structures, right? So you got to figure out what your passion is in the hobby and roll with that. And then your joy will come through to people.
That is just great. Okay, so Michelle, thanks for joining us as we wrap up on Train Talk Media. Now, to learn more or plan your visit, we say to check out cmrm.org or follow the Colorado Model Railroad Museum on social media. And right here, don't forget to subscribe to Train Talk Media. We want you to win $50 from Whistle Stop Models and John Chase and fine 3D printing by saying, I want to win in the comments section. We are your home for model railroading stories, interviews, and hobby talk. Michelle, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This was very fun.